Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show. Brought to you in part by True Love's Pizza and Grits at 1144 Riverside Drive. A discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan James, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
Thank you, Bill Jones. Welcome into the All the Ball Sports Show for this Tuesday evening, the 5th day of February. Glad to have everybody along. Dilly. We'll be talking about the Super Bowl here shortly.
Philly.
Philly.
They should do a commercial with that. Oh, Philly. There you go. You got a good idea, Chip. Market it now, man. Put a trademark on that.
Get Ross on the phone. Let's get the stuff.
Well, he also come out with that thing about the Chewbacca bread.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He brought sandwiches the other night for the party.
Uh-huh.
And it was on ciabatta bread, so he called it Chewbacca bread. So.
And we have Mo in the house.
Hey, Maurice.
Oh, man.
Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Shoot, in the presence of greatness here.
So he's going to have to drag him a chair over. I forgot to bring out an extra chair, and I do
I
apologize.
don't know. I may want to let Marie sit between me
Dick
and Ty.
Vitale is in Rupp Arena tonight. Dickie V's there.
You are so excited with this Kentucky-Tennessee game.
Tennessee 17-5 against Kentucky 17-6. Tennessee has not swept Kentucky since 1999. I think tonight's the night, Maurice.
Well, they've already got
And
one
there's
out
the
of the
tip,
way,
and
obviously.
Kentucky gets the possession. So I'll be watching to the
So
left.
for the
Y'all
next
continue
hour-
with the show.
So for the next hour, we're gonna be
Tennessee's in a
getting-
man-to-man.
Well, there we go. We're going to be getting play-by-play from Ty Cobb. Boys, the other night for the let me do a little housekeeping right here.
Tennessee.
Tonight will be Hal Merle at Columbia Central High School. This will be his final regular season home game as coach of the Central High Lions, because after this season he is throwing in the towel on coaching. So
Completely?
what all of you heard? Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I heard. And I think he has not told me, but I think is to spend time with those two pretty little girls he's got.
Hal was coaching at Cornersville when I was playing at Richland.
Coach them both,
Yeah.
I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
That was 95, 6, and 7. I think. Who's at Cornersville?
Just
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah, I believe that's got a lot to do with it as well, Dan. And that's been official. I think it was official from the start of the season. I heard it back around Christmas. He asked me to kind of hold off on making any big deal about it as far as in the Daily Herald, but it's obviously public knowledge that he's winding it down. And, I think this is a team that's got a chance to maybe do some damage before he leaves. But
I think they'll go deep in the playoffs this time.
Well, they've been the number one seed coming out of District 8 AAA the last couple of years, and they've lost in the opening round of the region. But they played that region's quarterfinal game on the road. I think they've kind of got designs on doing something a little different this time, especially since they're hosting the region tournament. So we'll see how that goes. But if you've not had a chance to see this team, you've missed it.
Yeah.
They are a fun team to watch when they're playing well. I like some of the pieces that they've got with the two big kids, Ja'Kiah Webster and Quay Kennedy. They're both very versatile, both very big. And then when Chris Armstrong gets hot, you just go back and play defense.
And then when you need the big man on campus, you bring in Keontae Davis underneath the boards, and he can move. He can move some bodies.
He can move some bodies, and he can move. He's deceptive down there, man. And I think Cameron Porter is going to be an X factor for them here in the postseason as well. I think they're going to have to get some stuff out of him, but I think he's kind of that classic rim protector that you talk about these days as well. This is a team with a lot of pieces, man. I think they can match up with a lot of people, do a lot of different things. I think they're going to be fun to watch here over the next month or so.
When they're on great, and when they're not on, they still win.
Because they even as much as Hal complains about it, they play defense. They get down and play defense, and they can stop you even when they're not necessarily scoring like he'd like to. So they can kind of ugly it up a little bit.
No, they can ugly it up a lot.
Well, okay.
but still, the combined team effort is very good, and these guys, the chemistry mixes real well.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of seniors on that team too.
They do. Well, all right, we got Mid-State Classic coming up in April this year. Mack Reagan.
10th.
That's right. Columbia Parks and Recreation Director Mack Reagan, who has an orange fire hydrant out in front of his office at the Rainey House.
That happened. Can't figure it out.
I don't know. I have no clue.
I guess we know who he's pulling for in April at the Mid-State Classic.
I am neutral.
Man, he's showing his colors.
I am neutral.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right by and check it out.
There we go.
We know that's not true. But I am excited. Got a really good group of coaches coming in. Natalie Poole out of Memphis is building a good program down there. Mm-hmm. Classy coach. She just completed her PhD, and congrats to her. But the good thing for her job, she's turning them into a winning program.
So she's now Dr. Poole.
Dr. Poole, and got to give her a bunch of credit. We had a bunch of people. We threw out a bunch of names, and nobody wanted to come and play Tennessee. They're going to bring in a top 10 team when they come in, very loaded, and she jumped on it quickly. So that's sort of, no fight guy like me. I sort of like that. I like somebody that's really quick to get in, let you know she's coming to play. So she'll set her lineup up, and she'll come in here, gives her a chance to give her a really good recruiting tool. So it's going to be an excellent game, and we'll start out with a good game.
Now I got to give you guys credit and some kudos for the live Murray County Now you did from out at Ridley Park. Ty, you were the one that hosted that, and very, very good guys. You covered a whole lot of area on that thing.
Thanks. Ross always does a great job with the setup of that and good sound, and we were glad to be out there at Ridley Sports Complex. The field already looks great. I mean that. I said that, I think, during the stand-up, but the field looks great already.
It's getting there quickly. We will have the best field that they'll play on.
Well, when you got Marbett and the boys working on it, you can't go wrong.
Come in, they're going to sponsor again.
Don't give Bill Marbett too much credit.
Hey, I tell you what,
he's my bud now. I got to give him a lot of credit.
He will.
Dan and I watched him work a miracle on that field last year.
We need to get Bill on the show,
and
we will.
Push come to shove, he had the field ready.
Ready. It's just too cold. Most people didn't realize that. They thought it was the actual rain. It wasn't the rain. Field was playable. It was ready to go. It was just so cold that I don't think the bats could be played that cold. It was below 20 degrees. So
it would have been miserable.
It would have.
It would have been miserable for the players, for the fans, and for the media.
Well, you
actually we were a little toasty there.
In a warm press box if you want.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, I appreciate that.
When I go in, you just follow me because I'm not a cold weather person. I can cheer really loud from that press box.
Yep.
I think it got cold in the press box, didn't it, Dan? Because I was in there, and Vice Mayor Krista Martin was in there.
Well, every time
they kept opening
the door. It's not so bad to open the door if you go in. If you're in and you're going out, go out, shut the door. If you're out and you're coming in, once you get in, shut the door. Don't sit there and hold it open.
If I knew Dr. Martin was in there, I told my staff stop going in and out. I actually told him Ty Cobb's in there, go in there and open that door.
Just remember who's sitting right next to the door.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, but
that's all right.
Sometimes there's casualties.
I know. It's collateral damage. I understand that.
Tell us about the rest of the teams. The team coming from up east.
Oh,
who's playing?
Well, Ralph and Karen is going to bring a good team. I would never say anything bad about Ralph and Karen, and that's hard for me to do.
Oh yeah.
Being a Vandy man, but they're all class. A couple girls that I've seen grow up. They went to school with Bruno, so I'm all for them. I hope they bring a good team, put in a good show, but results do not matter to me. It's all about getting it up to game time and hear the Blues say first pitch and let it run.
And having a big crowd.
Well,
big crowd. We've already sold over right at 900 tickets.
Good.
The first 2 days.
So 1/3 are gone.
Yeah,
just about.
So. It's going to go quick.
All right, so if somebody wants tickets, they can either go to the Rainy House.
Go to the Rainy House. But
Or
most people are
call.
calling in right now.
Okay.
Just call 388-8119 or
Now, do you
code
take
931.
credit and debit cards?
Yep, credit and debit cards. We'll do a will call. You can show them, get them, or you can come and just purchase them, make sure you get them, and then come by the Rainy House and pick them up.
Because I know last year you had people willing to pay very, very top dollar
Right.
for any ticket they could get.
Yeah, after we sold out, there were people trying to get them on a secondary market. If you noticed, our ticket style changed. We actually
Yeah.
put some precautions so that they couldn't be duplicated. We were a little worried that could eventually start happening. And you can go to across the country. You can go to an NCAA softball game for free. And here we are. We're selling 4,000 tickets. It says a lot about the sports community we live in.
And dealing with a secondary market.
Yeah, and dealing with the secondary market. So I mean, we hadn't heard of anything happening yet, but it was a concern.
The good thing is you guys are doing it in house and not sending it out to somebody that can buy up a block of 1,000 tickets or
That's
whatever.
correct. And we will continue to advance. We're working on the way now. Right now, our staff's doing some research where that they'll all come available just like they would for any other sporting event. And 8 a.m., midnight, whatever, they go on sale. You can purchase them online, print your version. We'll scan them, have the same precautions, just like you're going to any event. Our event's big time, so we want to give everybody the same type of comfort. Good thing about it, though, we're a month later. So as we proved last year, we can deal with a lot of water. So it should be a lot warmer this year.
Although I do remember a May that I went to a Tennessee air show in Smyrna, and it was cold.
Well, sometimes you're going to get hit. Sometimes
One of the coldest May 22nd was my son's birthday that we had over at Woodland Park. And it was freezing over there that day on May 22nd.
That was before I got here, so I can't do
What?
anything about that.
And here can't control the weather anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I'm just saying that it can. There are days in there where you get your
Hit and miss.
your little winters that come through. Your blackberry winter, your blueberry winter. Those kind
Eddie,
of
you
things. But
remember just like I can playing baseball, Pillow Park in June. It would be cold at night.
Dan, something you may not be aware of. You remember out there a couple years ago, I was standing behind you, and a girl from Columbia State, left-hander, tucked one and just shot it about 230 over the fence.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I remember.
A rifle shot.
Yeah.
Coming
Guess where
out.
she's playing at now? University of Memphis.
Was that the
Really?
Grand Slam?
Yes. Yeah, she won the game for
Oh man, it was like crack.
The Grand
Yeah.
Slam, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Columbia State's
yeah.
coming
I
back
saw
too.
that.
She, young lady out of Waverly, and I apologize for not knowing her name, but she's one of the best hits I've seen. But she's now playing for Natalie in Memphis,
Cool.
so she'll be back. So it's going to be
So
cool.
Columbia State takes on
Volunteer state.
Vol State.
1
yeah.
o'clock.
State.
1 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
1
two
o'clock.
in-state rivalries
Yeah.
going on, and that's always been a good game.
But the Columbia State game has always been a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down.
And that's
without
the
a
reason
doubt.
we started at 1 o'clock. We were getting a little concerned that it would run a little late.
Yeah.
If we had weather, we would have to delay. So,
We're not having weather this year. We're going to get this thing done.
yeah. Well, we're going to roll it out no matter what. we're going to play some ball. But we had last year. We had for our batting practice out there in 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
We had 1,000 people show up and get autographs.
Oh yeah.
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 And
And that was neat. That was
Yeah.
neat seeing them come through. A lot of kids. That was special.
And you talk about Memphis taking this game. I think this is a huge game for Memphis. I mean,
Yeah,
just
too.
from an exposure standpoint, from a
Recruiting?
and heaven help if they mess around and win it.
Yeah.
I mean that instantly gives them some credibility and going back into their conference
how
play.
many-
That's huge.
How
chance
many
to make
years?
NCAAs.
But how many years has Memphis been taking it on the chin for all sports?
Yeah.
I mean, they played the Titans down there for what, a couple of seasons before they moved
One.
back for one season.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Left.
One season,
So
94.
they played professional football there
94,
one year, then
5.
jerked it out of the Liberty Bowl.
Played at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
What, 35,000?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The football team's doing pretty well right now. though.
Yeah,
Yes.
they've got some talent. They got some talent.
And they for years and Ty, don't hit me when I say this, for years and years and years, everybody joked about it being Tiger High.
They started putting money in the program, though.
But you remember when people called it that, and then suddenly it became University of Memphis, and then once it became that, then the Tiger High status went away, and then they got real in basketball, got real in football.
Well, I can remember, and I hate to say this, I can remember when they beat University of Tennessee in football when Peyton
92?
Manning was.
That was
No, it was like 95, 96.
Yeah, but majors. We lost. Didn't we lose majors last year in '92?
No, you
I'm gonna
never
have to
lost
look
to
at
Memphis.
Yeah, we
No.
did. I think we did.
It
I'm gonna
don't
look
matter.
it
It
up.
was a good day.
Let me see.
I did notice you wore your black and gold T-shirt over
You
here.
might be right though, Maurice. You might be.
Oh, he'll turn in a minute and do this.
That's all right. Hey, you know when you
okay.
when you got Ken playing, it changes everything.
When somebody gives you a free Vanderbilt education, you suddenly become just immensely loyal.
So is Bruno going to be a senior this
Bruno,
year?
he did decide to come back.
Okay.
Didn't get, I looked at it and see what his draft projection was going to be, and he thought he could improve upon it. Most of the people I talked to said he'd be somewhere between 3 and 5, somewhere.
This year?
Yeah, if he came out this year. But a good thing about it, almost everybody that they had projected in front of him came out. So he'll be coming back. Talked to a good friend who told me he would be in the top 5 in center coming out next year, in the top 10 in guard, and he was the only one that was in top 10 in both positions. Yeah.
Which position does he prefer to play?
I don't think he cares if they're going to let him play in the NFL. He'll play any position, anywhere. That's just – he never – and Mo's, saw him grow up. He's not like, your typical athlete. He just loves to compete. So he'll play wherever they want him. He'll probably play center. He's a really big center. Bruno walks around probably in 3 1/4. They pull him a lot. He looks a lot smaller, but he's a big kid. So even in the NFL, he'd be a really big center. So
For a kid who only played 2 years of high school football, he's come a long way.
Yep. Yeah, you're right about that.
He's super athletic, though. I mean, and I've seen him. I've seen him on the mat. Again. If you didn't get a chance to see him, you missed it because he was really special out there.
Yeah. I always thought that someone would try to snatch him up and have him do both, but after he had to cut, because he walked around at 310 pounds his high school senior year, between 3'5" and 310, he would cut twice a week to 285. So after he went through that, I don't think he had any desire to do that ever again. So
understandably so.
Yeah. But teams like, I do know his high school coach was a national champion from Iowa State, and he really pushed him to go to Iowa State and do both. And I know Franklin would have probably, been interested in signing day, but there's no way Penn State's going to let you do both in the wrestling program. Their wrestling program is actually probably more prestigious than their football program ever will be.
Certainly right now.
Yeah, they just really put it to the number 1 team in Ohio State the other day. Just tuck the fight to them.
But these are sports you don't hear about. These are the main sports you don't hear about on ESPN.
Yeah, these are the sports I love, and that's where I actually met Maurice is through wrestling scene. It's just got to know him through that. I got to know a lot of people through it. It's a special group. It's like anything else. You'll have some crazy people in it, but overall, it's a good community. People really passionate about what they do, and you see some really, really good athletes come out of it. You got a really good. Your top 5 heavyweights usually they're pretty dang good athletes. If they didn't play football, then the football team missed out.
So does the wrestling make the football better?
I think the training of wrestling does, because the athletic ability, the balance, the hand fighting, especially judo does too. I mean, judo's all about the grip and hands. To this day, I've openly, I would love to see Bruno fight Kyle Snyder, and he's the best out there right now at heavyweight. Or he fights at like 197, 2-time Olympian, unbeatable. But I know if he locked up, Bruno would throw him.
Yeah, but wait a minute, 197 against a 325?
He wins the NCAAs. 2 years in a row.
I get that, but I mean, a 197 against a 325.
It's a different world wrestling is.
Yeah, it's got to be.
This is a beast. This is a beast. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
here's a little information I heard today. Mayweather and McGregor are going to fight again, but this time it's going to be in the octagon.
It ain't gonna happen, guys.
Wow.
It ain't gonna happen.
I don't think
the
Mayweather
octagon.
wants that.
I know women who would beat Mayweather in MMA fight. that's not being sexist. I know 135-pound people who compete in the state of Tennessee, women, ladies, that would destroy him. The takedown is so brutal.
Yes,
in
it
wrestling,
is.
you just can't learn it. Anytime I see, if somebody comes in and tells me that they're a wrestler and they wrestled for 4 years of high school, I have so much respect for them. I'm looking for, that's the type of people I want to add, into my business, what I'm doing, because it's just a brutal. They have been tested in every aspect of their life. I mean, even the really good athletes, somebody like Bruno win 100 matches in a row, I've seen him just break down in like nothing else because the grind it is. So that's the type of people I look for. They've been tested. They're not going to get emotional. And they're not going to, quit their job in the middle of the week. They're going to bring it every day.
Well, speaking of MMA, what is this thing with Ronda Rousey going to WWF or whatever it is?
FEC, whatever.
I'm not going to lie to you. I saw Ronda grow up.
She gets her butt beat in the ring, in the octagon or whatever it is, and then goes to be a showboat with.
She'll make a lot more money, and that's good for her. Because even in judo, Ronda was the most gifted person I ever saw. 17, she was top 10, got a bad decision and got a bronze medal. She really won a match. She was our most gifted judoka that we had, just totally gifted. But she would miss weight a lot, things like that. And she, just like she would do, her training would be off. She would make mistakes. She would fight a bad game plan, like she did. She stood with somebody she should have easily tucked down, and snapped her arm. The fight would have been over.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little thing called tapping out, Dan, that they can do.
Well, I understand that, but I mean.
Yeah, but, at that level, it's brutal. And I'm telling you, that's her motto. If she's broke, if she's hungry, she's going to whip your butt. She's going to bring it to you. Like she was at the beginning of MMA, but she got making a lot of money. Things got easy. Mm-hmm. And
training broke down.
Exactly.
She neglected a lot of her training.
And she stayed in place, and other people advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different when you've got the bullseye on your back.
Yep, you're right about that.
And if you don't keep that hunger,
somebody will get you. There's somebody, when you're on top, there's somebody just working their rear off to get you.
To get you.
Yeah. And it's not like football, they're trying to beat a team. They're trying to get you.
Which brings us to the Super Bowl and the lack of defense
on either side.
Man.
Well, especially for the Patriots, who never really pass rushed Knowles at all.
Foles.
Couldn't.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
That offensive line just tore them up.
Yeah.
They did an excellent job of keeping him clean back there.
And then Butler doesn't play because of whatever. And we don't know, and I don't think we're going to know. No, Belichick can never tell.
Have you ever seen anything like that, Maurice, that's not got out? Isn't that quiet?
No, but I've never dealt with the Patriots either. Yeah. I mean.
Could you imagine being a sports reporter and dealing with Belichick on a regular basis?
No, I can't. I can't imagine dealing with him on a regular basis. Saban on a regular basis, Knight on a regular basis. I mean, guys like that who's
Knight will hit you.
With Knight, you just stay away from chairs.
The thing about Knight, I actually did have the opportunity to deal with Knight once. I went up to Bloomington.
I went to his camp.
Oh God, was he there?
Oh yeah. He
cool.
He didn't hold back either.
No, when
I'll tell you some stories.
When Kirk Haston from Perry County was playing up at Indiana, I actually got the chance to go up there and do a feature, and I got about 8 minutes with Knight and tried to get him to say some glowing things about Kirk, and Actually, managed to get a couple, but you know,
well, you were fortunate.
Yeah, right place, right time. But you know, dealing with those kind of guys on a regular basis, I don't know how those beat writers do it. I really don't. Just because it's almost like you're an adversary or something,
You're afraid to say anything.
and you're just trying to do your job, man. It's tough.
At Indiana, he not only was the basketball coach, he was a history professor. And
Well, I ain't gonna take his class.
I know a guy that used to be the trainer on his for the basketball team, and he said he took history class under Knight, and of course he said I was already like a junior at this time, but he said Bobby Knight always kept a chair next to the door, and said everybody was gathering for the first day of class, and said all of a sudden the door opens, Bobby Knight steps in, he grabs that chair and he slings it across the room up against the wall. He said, now for all you people think it's going to be a crip course, better get your butt out now.
He needed to have been taken to the wrestling mat, didn't he?
What's funny is this guy. I mean, this guy began his coaching career at West Point. You know?
Exactly.
I mean,
Him and Coach K both.
Yeah. You know, where does that ego come from?
Yeah.
You know,
It takes years to build that. And, you know, when we were going through the recruiting process, I met Saban. And Saban to the public as far as like recruits and stuff like that, his players, they all love him. I mean, he's supposed to be a great guy. But if you work I know somebody who worked under him, and they left.
Why do you think he's working for the University of Tennessee now?
I don't know him. I don't know him, but that'll be a whole different story. I mean, you look at Belichick. You know, he has a certain.
Yeah.
It takes a certain type of person to work, and Belichick worked under Parcells, and you know he never was the most cuddly guy in the world either.
But Patricia found it out, so he takes, of all things, Detroit Lions. And I'm sorry for Detroit Lions fans, but
I don't think Detroit's that far off. And the thing is, in the
they
NFL,
just need somebody to push them.
In the NFL, the quarterback
Is the key.
and they've got a guy that I think you can win with. I like Matt Stafford.
They're going to keep Jim Bob.
Yeah, and so is he?
That's what the word was.
That's great. That's great. But I mean, I don't know why Detroit's not any better than they have been. And I think Jim Caldwell does a good job. But it'll be interesting to see how Patricia does. But you know, he kind of looked a little disinterested the other night.
I don't think he blitzed very much at all the other night either. And, you know, now Harrison come in that one time, and he did get the hit on Foles, but it was late. I mean, you know,
Harrison
ball's
played a
already
good
gone.
game. Harrison played a good
But
game.
outside of that, I don't remember ever seeing any of the linebackers.
Foles did an excellent job too of just moving slightly in the pocket, just slightly moving. That way your linemen have a chance.
But he played with what he said was no fear.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have any.
Well, I think that entire team played with no fear. I
Yeah.
think they went in there thinking they were playing with house money, and they went in there, you know, we're going to win this ball game. Nobody thinks we are but us, but we're going to win this ball game. And they
forgot to
did
read
what
the
they had to
script.
do that. Yeah.
Maurice, do you think?
Don't zip up your jacket there,
Well,
man.
I'm
We gotta
thinking
get
about
this.
it. I'm thinking about it. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask him the way James Harrison slipped out of Pittsburgh. Do you think Steelers fans were mad watching that game the other night and how good he can still perform now as a Patriot?
I think there's probably some frustration in Pittsburgh, you know, that he didn't play any more than he played before he left, and then he goes there and he gets to a Super Bowl and he plays the way he plays in the Super Bowl. And I think there's probably some questions amongst Steeler fans with regards to that coaching staff, why this guy wasn't on the field.
A long-time Steeler.
Well, he
you know,
says he's coming back again next year. So,
But not to the Steelers. Right?
No.
But I think Steelers fans are more upset about the fact that the Eagles were given that touchdown when they didn't get it in Pittsburgh.
That's got to change.
I don't think they were given that touchdown, though. I think that was a catch.
That was
it was a
that
catch.
was the right call.
I just
in the
think
Super
that
Bowl.
they
blew it in the Pittsburgh game.
I just
that's a
think
catch.
that they have overcomplicated what is and what isn't a catch to the point that
You don't know?
I mean,
But I think once the plane is broken,
and you've got possession of the ball.
what
That's
happens,
it.
that happens after that is no big deal.
When you pitch the ball, and make a football move.
And he was
And he clearly had done that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Because
I mean,
how many times have you
it's a
seen the
catch.
quarterback go over with an arm out and just break the plane
And
be
that's
out,
all
and
it
actually
takes.
be out of bounds?
right.
Be in the air out
As
of
a
bounds,
runner.
but the ball is
Break the
across the
plane.
plane. Yeah.
Yep. No, I think it was a catch.
But for
No
me,
question.
Maurice, I was really pleased with the game because of the offensive line play on both sides
Yeah.
that took place. You know, I love watching trench work and football. I mean, you know, we try to be nice about things today, but football is one of those games where it's just a violent game.
Yep.
And sort of like what happened last November, you know, it really is. Vanderbilt went up there and slapped Tennessee in the mouth, and they didn't respond. They quit, and Vanderbilt ran them off the field. That's what happened. I mean,
But you know as well as we do too that Tennessee football gave up on Butch Jones.
That's what I'm saying.
The players gave up.
They did not respond.
No.
They did not. I mean, they came out and they scored a touch. But first time Vanderbilt got hit is just, you could just see not only from the actual people on the field, the stand. I got a picture that I keep in my office that shows about 5,000 Vanderbilt fans, and there's probably 5,000 Tennessee fans. And again, there's 10,000 people in that big, huge place. It looks empty. You know, I just think that's the greatest picture ever because it shows the offensive line walking the ball, and I was like, that's a good day. But, that's what Philly did. Philly came out and hit them and didn't stop.
Yeah. I mean, when you take the opening kickoff and you take 7 minutes off the clock.
That was brilliant. I'm standing up in my living room, and I had no rooting interest. I didn't really care.
And then they score on the fourth and goal.
Yeah.
Was that not
Right before the half. They
but then
controlled the ball.
Then you get the lackluster performance from Brady in the attempted catch.
I just don't think
he short-armed everything on that.
I just don't think he's that good an athlete.
But I mean,
Right.
but I mean,
I'm not
still-
even sure why they called that. I mean, that's so uncharacteristic of the Patriots. They're not necessarily your trick play type team, and to put Brady at risk because I'm not a Brady fan. I would love for him to have caught that and for somebody to have taken his head
somebody
off.
would cleaned his clock.
Yeah.
He'd have run out of bounds long before he got hit.
he had a wide open field had he caught that. But somebody would have cleaned his clock had he stayed in bounds.
He's not going to run fast.
No, he's not.
He's going to run just enough to get a few more yards, get that first down, and then he's going to see somebody closing. He's going to go ahead and step out.
Yeah.
But anyway, Philadelphia later showed them how to run that play.
Exactly.
And it was perfect.
And apparently, I'm sure y'all have heard it, but they kind of stole that from some high school in Texas.
Yeah.
Really? So
That's coaching right there.
there you go.
That's
Getting
That's the
deep
reason-
in the playbook.
Isn't that what you posted or something about that ought to make all high school coaches proud the way that the way that
I
was
you
done?
Doug Peterson 10 years ago was coaching at Calvary Christian Academy down in Shreveport, Louisiana. And all of a sudden this guy's winning a Super Bowl.
He's the hottest coach right now.
Yeah, and this is where it is. I mean, this is where coaching takes place, is right here at this level, and dealing with guys and kids and kids that can't get to practice, can't get to 5 o'clock workouts, that kind of thing. I mean, coaching at that level, that's easy,
And
coaching these 16, 17, 18-year-old knuckleheads, that's where the work is.
Well, I'm telling you what, I'm coaching a 7th and 8-year-old basketball team, and it's all that I can do.
You're herding cats out there, aren't you?
Man.
Yeah.
Hey, we
got
find
practice
out something
tonight.
else too. Chris Collinsworth needs to know the difference between play action
And run pass option.
run pass option.
Yeah.
Run pass option wasn't even around when he was there. Yeah.
He was a bingo, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a banger.
And a gator.
Was he a Gator?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
Was he?
Oh,
Yeah, I forget you knew that, Ty.
But get ready for that.
that.
Yeah, y'all get ready for that run pass option will be coming to Tennessee next year. I
Florida
guarantee it.
showed
The
you
Titans.
what the definition of a catch is.
Yeah.
Here.
You'll see a lot of it.
Yeah.
You need to
Well, I'm sure
and it should have, because that's what Mariota's good at.
you've got to do
He's good at
something to
that.
take advantage of his
Abilities.
his physical abilities.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think he showed in the playoffs what he's capable of doing when he's 100% healthy. And keeping him healthy is huge, but taking advantage of what he brings to the table is
All
a
right,
must.
let me ask you this: was Malarkey worried about him getting hurt again, which is why they put the restraints on him?
I think there were times when he was hurt. I think there were probably times when he was not 100%, and I think you could kind of tell the difference in when he was and when he wasn't. And I think he made some comments. I think coming out of the Pro Bowl that his footwork wasn't always what it needed to be, and that was the issue with some of the passes that he made with his interceptions and touchdowns being upside down this year. And I would imagine that goes back to just not having the offseason to work on his footwork because he was rehabbing from the broken leg.
Right.
So hopefully with a new quarterback coach and with a healthy offseason, he can get in and get that footwork cleaned up and get back to where everybody thinks he can be, because I think they've got some weapons on that team. And if they add another couple here in the draft, they've got to be better, because Jacksonville is going to be better. All of a sudden, it's not Indianapolis that you're concerned with, but it's Jacksonville. And then if Deshaun Watson gets back, and he had 19 touchdown passes before he got hurt as a rookie. Right.
And he's only going to be better.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too, though, that coaching staff was hard-headed about what they were trying to do. They had a system, and they were going to run that system.
Egos are big in coaching. Egos are big.
They're huge. And I think on one hand, I think we probably should have seen more of Derrick Henry than we did. But on the other hand, I'm not sure that Derrick Henry is an every down back just yet, because I saw a couple of times where Mariota got killed because Henry missed a block. And so he's got to work on his pass pickup.
Yeah.
Right.
And if he gets better in pass pro and he can be out there on the field more, then that helps them. But I'm not sure how much more Murray has in the tank at this point.
Got to wonder that.
I think
No more than two.
Yeah.
Well, you was talking about the egos are big in coaching. Yeah, I mean, what does it say when you got a guy that wins the Rookie of the Year in the NFL that came from the University of Tennessee that never was utilized like he should have been?
Man, I cannot tell you how much I was so happy when they put him on the bench. I was so happy as a Vandy fan. See him sitting on the bench. I don't care who else they had at tailback. When Kamara was on the bench, I was so happy. I was like, yeah. For one, anybody who knows football knows that dude can play
Yes,
at
he
any
can play.
level.
Yeah.
Any level.
And he proved that he wasn't just a runner. He's also a receiver. And,
Now, to be fair, though, when you look at the situation that Tennessee had at running back at that time, go back. Don't look at 2016. Look at 2015 when Hurd was healthy and running for nearly 1,000 yards and that kind of thing. I mean, it's not like Kamara was sitting behind some slap.
No.
Jalen Hurd can play.
Jalen Hurd can play.
So,
And they made a big commitment to him early.
yeah, well, and I think that was part of the problem, though. I think they kind of made some commitments that
I think they made a
got
promise
caught
to
in.
him
Yeah.
that they didn't keep, and that's
In
It wasn't all
2013,
Jalen Hurt's fault.
no.
no.
but 2013, they had the best offensive line in college football. Went up there and saw him play. Everybody on that offensive line went on and played in the NFL. Even Tiny played 2 years with a knee that couldn't even walk.
Right.
That was the best offensive line. Sam Pittman is just loaded, and one of the best offensive line, doing a great job now at Georgia. You look instantly; those guys left, and they started drafting high-level offensive linemen that never developed.
Right.
Right. I mean, it actually got worse while they were there.
Right.
They were just getting running backs beat to death. quarterback speed. That's the reason Josh did so good there, because Josh could move. He was smart enough. He could read the defense, and he knew if the blitz was coming this way or this defense not coming, I have an out this way. A lot of people can't think of that. I was talking to someone about RG3 the other day, Robert Griffin. And they said Robert Griffin, when they evaluate him at the NFL Combine, you would draw up a plan, and he said he would look at it and instantly be able to write it. Never missed anything. He says, like an NFL quarterback. They said the problem was he would look at it and take that second. He says, you don't have that in the NFL. A second, 320-pound guys put you, he says, you got to be able to know what's happening off almost instinct. He said, but
predict it.
Yeah. So Robert was a brilliantly smart guy, but he analyzed it. And that's what happened. He said people realized it, so they stopped giving him time. They'd bring the blitz.
Is that when the coach says quit thinking?
Yeah,
You don't hurt the team.
Yeah.
You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, cool.
Don't worry about it. No, we're good. We're just coughing into our. We're doing what the doc says. Is always coughing
Into your elbow.
Yeah,
Straight out of the CDC right there.
There you go. I'm just trying to keep
calm.
And we appreciate it.
I have nothing wrong. I'm just trying to keep everybody healthy.
You're
Thank
just
you,
trying
sir.
to count down to True Love's Pizza at 7:01. Hey,
You're
don't
still
feel bad.
hungry, aren't you?
I'm counting down.
That's
with you.
important.
Hey,
That's
and,
important.
And thanks to Kathy and Glenn, by the way, for supplying us with the pizza for True Love's Pizza and Grits All the Ball Sports Show on Tuesday nights from 6 until 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we will have a delicious well, actually, they do a meat lovers, and they do one that I came up with. So,
Oh, the Dan, huh?
yeah, yeah, which this week will have onion on it.
Onion.
Onion. Yeah.
I actually went through there Saturday after I got off from work.
And you didn't call?
Well, by the time I got off from work, I figured everybody had eaten.
And for all you folks out there who hear an animal of sorts scratching at the door and whining from time to time,
That's just your dog.
that's just my dog.
Bismarck.
That is Bismarck. Yep.
We're going to check in over here?
Well,
How well can people see that, Dan?
They probably can't see good on the TV, but
It depends on the lighting. The camera affects the TV, and the TV affects the camera.
it is a defensive game.
On your screen.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I thought. A defensive game.
It's a little lower scoring than I would have anticipated. Really.
Tennessee's up by one right now.
Tennessee's down by one right now.
This is the most basketball I've watched in like 5 years.
Well, there's nothing to watch at Vanderbilt this year.
Well, I don't watch basketball.
Did I say that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh!
Ooh, Mac, check your nose, buddy. I think you just got tagged.
Fired.
I tell you what. But then again, all I'm concerned with is football.
I tell you what,
Well,
though.
there's a no call.
I
Grant
will-
Williams gets fouled, and
Well, that's been all year.
Look at that.
I'll say this, though. If you're going to get Vanderbilt,
You better
this
do it this
might
year.
be the time to get them because
Yeah.
they've got Darius Garland from Brentwood Academy coming in. They've got that big kid,
What is it?
Simi
Yeah.
Chatu or something like that. From
Hey,
some-
whoa, 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 whoa,
from
whoa,
where?
whoa, whoa.
That's the kid's name.
where's he from? Really? I don't-
He's from he's at some prep school up in New England right now, but he's like 6'11",
Wow.
something. Yeah,
He's
and
from
they're
one-
in
He's
on
from
Top 10
one of them
kids.
yeah
Eastern Bloc
two of the
countries.
two of the top 10 recruits in the country, and then they're in on this Romeo Langford
believe
kid as
ball.
well, who's another great
If they
guard.
get Langford, they'll have a top 5 team.
So
Cool.
if you're gonna get them now.
But it's still not football.
Says the man who has nothing to do with basketball.
Who, this guy here? Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
They'll be a top 5 team.
But he doesn't keep up with it. Yeah.
I mean, Vanderbilt's got a dominant baseball program, and God bless them. I love Vanderbilt for what they've done for me and my family. But hey, Bo will tell you, I'm one of those conceited dads. I'm a Bruno Reagan fan.
Yeah.
When Bruno Reagan goes to wherever, I'm going to cheer for them.
There
This
you go.
weekend, I was cheering for my daughter. I'm like most dads. I don't hide it. I'm straightforward.
Well, now let me
And
ask
that's
you
the way
this,
you're
though.
supposed to be.
No,
Now I've got to brag on him for a second because
This
I
guy?
mentioned,
Okay.
I mentioned this when he first walked in the door. He posted a picture with his beautiful wife on Facebook this past week because anniversary? Is that what it was?
Yeah, 25th anniversary.
Okay,
Nice.
25th anniversary. And this guy did very, very, very well. Can't say so much for his wife, but he did very, very well. She is a very beautiful woman.
Outkicked his coverage, huh?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Well,
we go.
and an All-American volleyball player.
Exactly.
Well, that
See,
explains
I-
a lot.
yeah.
A lot of athleticism. in there.
Mack,
I looked genetically.
she still believe in the lie.
Well, no, she don't believe. She don't believe the lie, but she's such a good lady. She won't kick me out.
There you go.
To death do us part. I actually meant something to her, I guess. So I got it. But yeah, she's all classy lady. I mean, she's just opposite of me. She's, she's going to be nice to you.
Oh, so she likes Tennessee.
No, don't say that.
You said the opposite.
Well,
That's what you said.
guys, come on! I'm the guy who don't give
I
out
know.
Halloween candy to
know.
kids have orange
Chip
on.
says she's
So you know how that is.
Chip says she's a Bama fan. Then
No, she's not. She is like.
Y'all better be
we're
careful.
super
He's-
competitive.
He's tensing up over here.
Yeah.
somebody judo might come out, huh?
He's a world
No,
champ.
but she
Hey.
would be class. She would just tell me, "Hey, when you get a chance, take your time."
Now, Mac, you're from Clarksville. Bruno went to Clarksville High School, and you were talking about Vanderbilt baseball. How well do you know the Everett family?
I don't know him real well. He was a year behind Bruno. From all I've known and all I ever heard, he was a real good kid. Played in the same little league. When Bruno played baseball, he played in the same little league as he did. Didn't really know him a lot, but it was devastating for us because I remember when my wife called me because here he's the same age as Bruno. Bruno's a year young. Bruno should have been starting high school a year later than he did, which would have really set up for a dominant wrestling pro. For him. And Walt Wells once told me, he said if that would have happened and Bruno would have played 3 years of football, he said he would have been the #1 lineman in the country.
Really?
Yeah. So he left home at 17 years old.
So give us a little background on what we're talking about.
Donnie Everett, just a superstar, just one of the most powerful pitchers that ever came out of state of Tennessee, signed with Vanderbilt. Had a pretty good rookie year, was getting his game, getting his ball moving a lot, threw about 100 miles an hour. Loved to fish, good country boy, just loved to fish. Died in a swimming accident. And,
Right before the NCAA tournament started.
and it was,
Remember that now.
Yeah.
And I remember when my wife called me, and I'm just going to go ahead and say she was just complete tears because as us as parents, we saw what we would feel like losing a son.
Right.
And I just couldn't imagine it. And still to this day, I think about stuff like that. When I tell my son goodbye, I hug him, things like I always have. Here he's a big burly guy, but he's still my baby, So,
Oh, yeah.
last night when we left dinner, I hugged him, told him I loved him. I always do. Sometimes I FaceTime him just to see his face. And I just, my heart goes out to the Everett family, to losing their son. And it was their only child, I believe. So,
Oh man.
so it was really
What
a
year
rough
was that?
Uh,
situation.
2 years
2
ago. Yeah, 2
Yeah.
springs ago. So this May it'll be 2 years.
Yeah.
But, I deal with and I have dealt with a lot of high school kids, but I always enjoyed dealing with Bruno. I mean, and he was very yes or no, sir, and I didn't necessarily need that, but he was just very, very cordial. I mean, he was engaged.
Oh, come on.
No.
If you don't need that, then you wouldn't post it on Facebook.
I don't need yes or no, sir. I really don't. I just need because there are a lot of people that say it and don't mean it.
Well, you're right.
So,
You're right.
But he was always very
Yes, sir.
respectful.
Yes, sir,
and
you're right.
Yeah, there you go. Very respectful, very engaging, very thoughtful.
Yeah.
I always enjoy dealing with Bruno. It's just and those are the type kids that you like to see good things happen for him. So I've really enjoyed the progress that he's made at Vanderbilt, and knowing that he's getting ready to go to that next level.
I have always appreciated folks or kids, high school kids, who do say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I do appreciate that simply because it shows their raising was right. What really bothers me are the interviews on TV where they're talking to an adult and you get that, yeah, no, maybe, yeah, well, yeah. and it's just it's like a disconnect, immediate disconnect between the adult and the child.
Well, I think a lot of kids though aren't necessarily used to talking to adults. Yeah. And I don't know that it's necessarily disrespect. They're just not necessarily comfortable in that situation.
And that's where he had the advantage. I mean, he like at 8 years old was national champion in judo, and I can remember him getting interviewed at 10, 11, 12 years old. And judo is is an art. It's such a respectable sport, and it's expected. So I think that had a lot. And his mom would have straight up that she wouldn't have put up with that. It is not going to happen. Me, you catch me at a game, and I'm his coach. I'm the guy that's so intense. Just I have to cool down. But just from the beginning, he'd walk off just a brutally tough match. Somebody fouled him, and I'll be eyeballing the other coach, and he'll walk off and just smile and say, "Hey, that was a good one, wasn't it?"
Hey, do me a favor. Remind me to take a bucket of water to the Mid-State Classic so we can hose him down.
I probably will need it before.
Hey, Ty, can you bring the pumper truck out there?
What was it? I think when we went through about 4 dozen balls the last year, I was starting to stress. I was like, man, I know we bought 12 dozen.
Every time,
I tell you what, them girls were jacking the thing out. Man.
Every time they hit one out, I hit the ching, and it was $7.75.
Shoot, I think they're probably $20 each. Those NCAA balls.
Yeah.
Did you buy them?
Yeah,
they come out. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's a really good souvenir. So
yeah, I still got mine in my office. Yeah. You need to come by and see it. I've got the. You need to come by and see it. I love it. I've got the softball. I've got it all. I've got a Mid-State Classic collection down at my office.
Now, do you get them stamped or anything like that?
We don't get them stamped yet, but we actually were looking at that. But I had so many left over from last year. I said we're going to put that off until.
Oh man, get
Can I get another ball
with the logo?
Yeah, we're planning.
Get you a stamp. Yeah, do it yourself.
I wish Ty would have brought the tickets he bought so that I could show them off.
Speaking of that, I want 10 more.
Okay,
hold me 10 more.
Do I have to buy a ticket to get in?
No, you get a couple for working.
Actually,
Press don't have to. So
good.
I had 2 in my truck.
I'm always up for a hookup.
And my wife said, "Thank you for allowing me to work this on her birthday."
Okay. All right.
So what you're saying is you need a ticket for Miss Bobo then?
No, she got something she has to do that night too. So.
There you go.
My bad.
Hey,
by the way, I need to point this out that my buddy Amy got the nice frame for the very nice article that Maurice did on me for being the PA announcer at Columbia Central, right up there on the wall.
Well deserved too.
And she said, "Has anybody ever said anything about that?" I said, "No, because the lighting in here is a little bit strange." So I'm going to point that out. So Amy. There's your.
That is a good picture of you too.
That's one of the best pictures I've ever had made.
Rob Fleming, ladies and gentlemen.
Robert Fleming done that.
Yes,
leaned over my shoulder, stuck the camera under my chin, and
photographer extraordinaire.
Dan. I guess it's been a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half. But I was at city manager's office, and he told me that they hired a new sports editor. And I was like, really? Who? And he said, Maurice Patton. I said, oh, we got a winner there.
Who told you that?
The city manager.
Yeah.
He announced it. He says, you know him? I said, absolutely. Absolutely. I said, nobody will do our youth a better job.
No.
So I was really pleased with that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and there will be no check forthcoming, but I appreciate you saying that.
Don't worry, I'll be broke anyway. No check needed.
True Love's Pizza will have to do.
Yeah.
Dan,
Mid-State Classic sponsor.
I will say this too, though. Mack would agree with me. One of the best things that last year's game was when the Daily Herald did the lineup. Pictures of the team on that full page ad. That was really nice, and I saw a lot of people getting autographs on it.
Yeah, that was the idea when we did that, and I have full disclosure, that was not my idea, but it was a good idea.
It was great.
And it worked out very well. So hopefully we can replicate that this time around.
I saw a lot of people using it.
If I can help you with that, let me know.
We'll do it.
If I can get teams and stuff.
Yeah. we're looking forward to it, and
it's a big event for us.
it's
Yes,
a big
it
event.
is.
It's a big event for this community. It's a
I'm
big
gonna-
event for the softball community.
I'm going to say this, that Eddie and I were extremely disappointed that we did not get a chance to play the games last year, because we, regardless of what a lot of people think, we do get geared up for these things, and we get pumped up just like everybody else does. And when we're sitting there watching Bill Marbert, bless his heart, go around on his three-wheeler, and we know the game's not going to be happening, and we're just feeling it in our bones, and we're watching him make that field out there as best that he could possibly make it, which was superb. We're thinking, why are we here? But we were fulfilling the terms of our contract to be we were going to be with you, Mack, until they turn the lights off.
Well, and I was going to be there until they turned them off.
I know.
I really wanted to play that game.
Oh, I did too.
I
Yeah.
really
It was
did.
more the temperature than it was.
It was.
anything else.
It
Once it
was.
becomes a safety thing, you just understand.
Yeah.
It's not like football where you're just hitting each other. It's just
Yeah.
cold and uncomfortable.
And if one of those kids had gotten out there and
Oh.
pulled a hamstring or something,
Cost them an
Yeah.
NCAA.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Tennessee was looking at NCAA run, and they will be
Yeah.
this year. So
both of them will, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure hoping. I'm really feeling good about this game. I talked to Johnny Lettrell. I don't know if you saw, but Columbia State made an announcement about their soccer program. starting
Yes.
up.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to say
Yes.
Ridley Park's getting ready to
Yeah.
get
And-
another tenant.
Is that where they're going to play?
And you see their coach?
Yes, I've actually met him the day before. And anybody knows me, I love to talk, so I'm got to watch it and I don't leak it out.
Colton Bryant.
He's a good kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had that on
I believe
Facebook.
they're having tryouts. I believe this weekend.
Saturday at noon at Ridley Park.
No, I won't be there for them because I'm not trying out for.
You're not trying out for
be a good
Columbia State
goalie.
women's
You don't,
soccer.
you don't have some eligibility left there.
No,
You'd be a good goalie.
But, I mean, the good thing about it is it's a scholarship program too.
Yeah.
I
We're
know.
giving out scholarships.
Uh,
then
uh,
with the money, you'll
Got to correct
You'll
you
be
on
able
that
to
one thing, though. Goalie only pertains to hockey.
Well,
It's goalkeeper in
goalkeeper.
in
Hey,
soccer.
Little unknown fact. Do you
he'd
know?
be a good hockey goalie too.
Maurice was talking about Bruno wrestling. He was a high level keeper
Or maybe just
when
a
he was
good
like
hockey
12
player.
years old. Was invited to the
Why the
Olympic
man?
development program as a goalkeeper. Could you imagine that Joker playing there now?
Oh, good Lord!
Well, that
Yep.
speaks to his feet, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
good,
yeah.
great hands.
Yeah.
Could catch anything.
But can he do the splits?
Well, he could at one time. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen him. Well, he's put me in the splits a few times. When
Well,
we
I
worked
bet.
but I've never, he's probably been 13 since I was able to put him in the splits.
Well, all right, guys, we've had a great show. We got about 3 minutes left. You got something else coming up with Parks and Recs. I saw it on Facebook the other day. It's not just the Mid-State Classic. It's something else you guys are doing.
Oh, we have a ton of stuff going on.
Okay. All right, somebody wants to know, who do they call? And who do they call about tickets?
You can just call the Rainey House at 388-8119, area code 931. We've got a bunch of programs that'll be coming out also. We purchased our own movie screen, so our movies in the parks will be really, our numbers will go way up. It also cut about $500 per rental each time off, so
Yeah.
we'll have a much higher level. Like last year, we had several that had over 300 or 400. We had a music event that probably had close to 500 people, and we're going to open up with another big music event that'll be announced, barbecue cook-off in the fall, and all of our sports league that we've got user agreements kicking up with. So be
When
active.
is the movies in the park? When is that?
They will crank up right at the end of school, so about May. And
What is it? Once a week?
we try to do at least, we're going to try to do at least 8 throughout the summer. And pool's getting ready to open. A lot of construction and development going on. Soccer fields are being developed. They're out there. They got the infrastructure. It will be developed by October, but we're actually hoping that they get done a little early and they see it can.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot going on in Parks and Recreation. Got a great city management that's really just giving us a lot of tools to work with.
Hey,
We
shout out
appreciate
to Connie Massey, too. She promoted our show for tonight.
yeah, she
And
will be here.
Shout out to Tony Massey, our city manager, who's really progressive. Columbia is really progressing, boys and girls, I'm telling you.
No doubt.
Tony Massey's the reason I came to the city. I researched him, and when I talked to him, I knew this place I wanted to be.
came down here from Tri-Cities, right? Bristol.
No, I actually came down from
him.
Oh, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
He actually worked in Kentucky for years.
He actually.
But
came
he's from
Georgia.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
he's
he's
hometown guy.
From here.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he lives in this neighborhood.
Well,
He
that's
lives
cool.
behind Woodland Park, so do you think that park's
Yeah.
taken care of? There's nothing like the boss walk. You just look out your
I
window,
know.
see the boss walk by in your
Yes.
park.
Every day, right outside my window.
He walks a ton.
Yes,
Has
he
to get
does.
in over 12,000 steps a day.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and the fun thing about tonight at the Massey house is Mr. Massey's cheering for the Vols, and
Oh, he
Miss
already
Connie's cheering
mentioned
for
that
the
to me.
Wildcats.
I just hope I got a job after talking bad about
About UT.
yeah.
No,
About the
you'll be
orange
fine.
He'll forgive me for that. He'll
You'll
forgive
be
me.
fine.
That's right. Connie loves Kentucky basketball, don't you?
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
ooh, that's that.
Say something now.
House
I
divided.
ain't saying anything. I ain't
It's
saying
pizza
anything.
time. Pizza time.
All right. So, hey guys, anything else? Maurice, you got something? What's coming out tomorrow?
What is coming out? Oh, we'll have something on this Tennessee Kentucky basketball game, and apparently we'll have something on Josh McDaniels not being the Colts coach.
Oh,
He turned it down.
Apparently,
Is that
Wow.
breaking news? I
Really?
didn't know that.
Wow, that's even new to me. I heard he hired an offensive coordinator
yeah, well, apparently not.
from somebody inside, so something's happened.
Yeah. So
well, guys, thank y'all. Really good show. It's
Aight,
now
then.
time for True Love's Pizza and Grits Pizza.
that'll work.
All right, we are out of here for this Tuesday night.